Hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council's pre-agenda for Wednesday, June 12th, 2019. My name is Kim Clark Baskin, and I'm your Deputy City Clerk. With us today, we have our sign language interpreter, Nick Miller. The following are three interviewees to be held by Pittsburgh City Council. Bill number 1712, resolution appointing Tracy Baton to serve as a member of the Commission on Human Relations for a term to expire May 31st, 2023. Bill number 1714, resolution appointing Jennifer Pursuti to serve as a member of the Commission on Human Relations for a term to expire May 31st, 2021. And Bill number 1716, resolution appointing Earl Buford as a member of the Pittsburgh Equal Opportunity Review Commission with a term to expire May 31st, 2022. The following is a list of legislation up for preliminary approval by Pittsburgh City Council. Finance and Law Committee, Reverend Burgess is the chair. We have a deferred paper, Bill number 1338. Ordinance amending, supplementing, and correcting the Pittsburgh Code, Title II, Fiscal, Article 1, Administrative, Chapter 219, Operating Budget, so as to add contract and bid information requirements to fiscal impact statements and to further correct numbering and formatting. This piece of legislation is sponsored by Councilwoman Teresa Kell Smith and co-sponsored by Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Deb Gross, and Darlene Harris. Bill number 1743, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Cohen and Grigsby, P.C., in an amount not to exceed $4,413.50 for professional legal services in connection with immigration matters. Bill number 1744, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in the amount of $18,427.50 to Siegel Waters Consulting for professional consulting services in relation to police arbitration. Public Works Committee, Mrs. Kell Smith is the chair. We have a deferred paper, Bill number 1637. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the directors of the Department of Parks and Department of Public Works to enter into a lease agreement with the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater for a portion of real property located on Liberty Avenue between 29th and 30th Streets. Bill number 1730, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title VII, Business Licensing, Chapter 719, Vendors and Peddlers, by amending the existing language of sections 719.02, 719.04, 719.09, and 719.10, and adding section 719.04B to better align peddler licensing with Allegheny County Health Department food regulations, to add the City of Pittsburgh Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to the Street and Sidewalk Vending Site Designation Committee. Also, to add the City of Pittsburgh Department of Permits, Licensing, and Inspections as a voting member of the Street and Sidewalk Vending Site Designation Committee. Bill number 1731, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code, Title VII, Business Licensing, Chapter 719, Vendors and Peddlers, by amending the existing language of Section 719.10 to add approved vending sites to the list of sites approved by the council, to delete one vending site from the list of sites approved by council, and to better specify the site locations in the list of sites approved by council. We have new papers, Bill number 1749, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works and/or the director of Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging's Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Greenfield Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $66,055 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1750. Resolution authorizing the mayor, the director of the Department of Public Works, and/or the director of Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging's Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Brighton Heights Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $100,000 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1751. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works and/or the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging's Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Homewood Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $38,200 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1752. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure and/or the Department of Innovation and Performance on behalf of the city to enter into an agreement with Ford Motor Company in order to receive access to the Ford City Insights visualization platform that will further the city's ability to deliver services to residents. Bill number 1753. Resolution approving the recommendation of the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure that Flora Street, Fort Duquesne Boulevard inbound and outbound, Broad Street, Ansley Street, and Oranmore Street be paved with asphalt in accordance with Section 417.06 of the Pittsburgh City Code of Ordinances. Bill number 1754. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program to provide funding for the planning of the Emerson Street Multimodal Path and Plaza. The grant proposal includes an ask of $200,000 with a local match of $30,000 to come out of the 2020 City of Pittsburgh capital budget. Land Use and Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Gross is the chair. Bill number 1415 is a deferred paper. Ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code, Title 9, Zoning, Article 1, Section 902.03, Zoning Map, and Article 3, Overlay Zoning Districts, Chapter 907, Development Overlay Districts, Section 907.02, iPod, Interim Planning Overlay District, by adding a new section, 907.02.k, to establish a new interim planning overlay district for the inclusionary housing interim planning overlay district. This bill is sponsored by Councilwoman Deb Gross. Bill number 1748. Resolution amending Resolution 650 of 2018 to reallocate funding previously assigned to another agreement and to further authorize the mayor and the director of the Department of City Planning to enter into a new agreement or agreements with Studio Brian Haynes, LLC, for consulting services pertaining to the Sheridan Park Master Plan. Urban Recreation Committee, Mr. Coghill is the chair. We have new papers. It's Bill number 1746. Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of the Sheridan Hotel Station Square in an amount not to exceed $469.78 for the City Parks Seniors Program Volunteer Recognition Gala and providing for the payment of the cost thereof. Bill number 1747, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation of the City of Pittsburgh to receive grant funding from the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank's Summer Food Service Partner Support Impact Grant to purchase 2 canopies to be used by the city's mobile food truck, and further providing cost not to exceed $600 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1757, resolution authorizing City Council to name the clubhouse and learning center in the Bob O'Connor Golf Course after Arnold Palmer in recognition of his lifetime achievements and influences on the City of Pittsburgh and the First Tee of Pittsburgh. This bill is sponsored by Councilman Corey O'Connor. Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management Committee, Ms. Strasburger is the chair. We have a new paper, and it's Bill number 1755. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into a contract or agreement with GBWH Pittsburgh, LLC, New Horizons, to provide Information Technology Infrastructure Library, V4 Foundation, to support ongoing development of innovation and performance staff who support critical IT infrastructure for a cost not to exceed $41,600. Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Mr. O'Connor is the chair. We have the deferred paper, Bill number 1514. Resolution adopting the plan revision of the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for the 21st and Smallman Mixed Commercial Development Project. The existing buildings will be or have been demolished, and new buildings will be a mixture of restaurant, retail, and office space. And Bill number 1745, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to enter on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh into an agreement or agreements with Allegheny County Department of Human Services for the city's operation of its seniors community centers. Said agreement shall be for a term of 1 year at a cost to the city with compensation to the city not to exceed $794,250. That concludes the reading of the legislation. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this pre-interview meeting of the Pittsburgh City Council. Today we are interviewing appointments and or reappointments to the Human Relations Commission, as well as the, no, we're not going to do that one. Human Relations, all three are for the Human Relations. Oh, perfect, this is great. So with that, we will begin with reading of the bills. If we could, Madam Clerk, have the purpose of bills 1712, 14 and 15, please.
Bill 1712, resolution appointing Tracy Baton to serve as a member of the Commission of Human Relations for a term to expire May 31st, 2023. Bill number 1714, resolution appointing Jennifer Pursuti to serve as a member of the Commission on Human Relations for a term to expire March 31st, 2021. Bill number 1715, resolution appointing Sonia Toller to serve as a member of the Commission on Human Relations for a term to expire May 31st, 2023.
Thanks, Madam Clerk. Well, good morning. Friends at the table, it's really nice to have you here and nice to see you again. If you would please just very briefly introduce yourself for the public so they know a little bit about who you are, your willingness to be a part of the Human Relations Commission, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure I even have any questions for you. Other members might, but Sonia, if you'll begin for us, please.
Certainly. I'm Sonia Toller. I am a City of Pittsburgh resident living in Belmar, a little small neighborhood in the East End. I would assume my entire career, consider myself to be a servant of the public here in the city of Pittsburgh. I've been a reporter, a communications person for the Allegheny Conference, worked with Governor Ed Rendell, advocating on behalf of Pennsylvania's African American communities. I currently am a former spokesperson for the city's public safety department and now work for Propel Schools in a capacity of also communications and enrollment. It's a pleasure to be considered for this position so I can continue to support the growth of our city.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is Jennifer Pursuti. I am a resident of the city of Pittsburgh. I live in the Carrick neighborhood of Pittsburgh. I too have worked for public nonprofit organizations for my entire career. I currently work for the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority as their budget director. I was formerly the budget director for the city of Pittsburgh. And I too am very honored to be nominated for this role as well, and I look forward to continuing to serve the citizens of Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Jennifer. You too.
Thanks. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Baton, and I live in the city of Pittsburgh in the Park Place neighborhood. I have lived here most of my life. I grew up in the Hill District. I work for a public agency here in Pittsburgh that works with families and youth, Community Empowerment Association, and I am a psychotherapist. Many years of my career were also as a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 16 years. And I do a variety of work around equity around the city, and I'm excited to continue to serve the city I love. I sat in Cape Town and decided to come home.
Oh, nice. Well, we're excited to have you. Thank you very much. Councilwoman?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, what do you think that you can give to the Human Relations Commission? Who wants to start?
I'll go first. I believe that I have an understanding of the Human Relations Commission from working in state government, where the commissions across the Commonwealth are actually on the brink of being dissolved. And I was part of an effort to raise awareness about the important role that they play. So I have that kind of understanding, and I have a sensitivity to the citizens of Pittsburgh from the aspect of always being in the position to tell their stories to people who can make decisions to impact their lives.
Thank you.
I have worked in a number of various volunteer roles, and bring an understanding of the city's operations and finance. I actually was the the budget analyst for the Human Relations Commission when I first started at the city of Pittsburgh many years ago. And it's an organization that I think does a very mindful job of helping with the citizens in Pittsburgh, those especially that, again, as Sonia said, could use a voice. And so I would be excited to become part of that team.
Okay, thank you.
I think the Human Relations Commission does lots of extraordinary work, and I think that it's really important that the people of the city of Pittsburgh understand that work. And I think that what I can uniquely bring to the Human Relations Commission is really to help the people understand the work and how the commission can serve them.
Okay, and which communities are you from now?
I live in Belmar.
Belmont.
I live in Carrick.
I live in Regent Square.
Glad to see a little mixture here. Usually everybody's from the East End. I think you'll all do well. I don't see Earl Buford here.
Not here this morning, Councilwoman.
Okay, so we're adding him on another day?
I guess we'll wait for the administration to decide when they can bring them over.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have for you. We had some time because we didn't start at 9:30, so was looking over all of your resumes, and I know 2 out of 3 of you. So, and I think you'll do well, and it's very important to the city. I don't know, does the Human Relations Commission still look at our hiring and applications or anything for contracts?
I believe that's EORC.
I believe
that
Okay, are they the only ones? You
right,
don't,
reviews
you
the
don't work
contracting
on
for Pittsburgh,
those?
yeah.
Okay. Okie doke. I'm good.
My mic's off. Brief history of the Human Relations Commission as I remember it, and I hope I'm accurate in this, but I think I am. There was actually a time when Kaufman's would not employ African American employees in front of the house positions, and that they were limited to only working in back of the house positions. And they went out on strike, and Mayor Lawrence at the time supported the right of African American employees to work any position they choose as long as they were qualified. And so the Mayor's Commission on Human Relations was founded, and it was housed in the mayor's office. But then when we went into our home rule charter, the Mayor's Human Relations Commission was removed from the mayor's office, made an independent commission of its own, and since that time has existed as the Commission on Human Relations. See, now we know.
All right.
So I miss you guys. I have to say that in all honesty. You were here for quite some time while I was here serving on the council, and it's not quite the same not having you here. And I just wanted to let you know that you are missed, and we really appreciated your time that you were here and the service you offered us. Thanks. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn this pre-interview, and we'll wait to start a standing committee meeting momentarily. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Welcome to Pittsburgh City Council Standing Committee meeting of Wednesday, June 12, 2019. Our first order of business is public comment. Members of the public who want to address council, please come forward. You'll be giving 3 minutes. When the green light comes on, your 3 minutes has begun. When the yellow light comes on, your time has, you have 1 minute to summarize. When the red light comes on, your time has expired. I'll take this moment to remind everyone the rules of council state that comment must be limited to things of concern and things that which are or may be before council. All these other extraneous material, although I will not stop you, is actually not permitted. You're actually also supposed to be a resident of the city in order to comment. But again, I will not stop you, and you can say whatever you want, but only issues of concern are we really only concerned about. First speaker, please.
David Tessitore, Highland Park, and this is an issue that is before council because there is a public hearing which should be scheduled on this. I would like to know at some point when that might be also. We are moving ahead with preparing the case for an ADA complaint in federal court against the Port Authority and probably including the contractor who is not responsible and the city of Pittsburgh who is responsible for having given permits and not protecting the rights of the citizens of Pittsburgh in this matter, especially since there's a member of council on the Port Authority or on the Water Authority board, et cetera. Anybody wishing to call the number 412-532-8338 who might be watching this online or contact by ada@openpittsburgh.org that we are looking for individuals who are possibly mobility impaired or have a disability that use transit in the Morningside neighborhood that are willing to join the plaintiffs that we've already lined up. The more the merrier. We have counsel. It's pro bono, so there's no charge to anybody who gets involved. We are looking for a resolution on this that is not just temporary for Morningside, but that would affect the entire city, that at any other time in any of your council districts, if a neighborhood is impacted by work that needs to be done, and everybody knows that, and the route has to be changed, and the Port Authority is informed, that they post at the stops that are affected where the riders need to go. It only makes sense. They told the Post-Gazette yesterday that they were sending a person around hourly to check in Morningside, yet as of yesterday evening, when I went around, there were no notices of stops that had been moved, and yet there were stops that were not served. This is something that is intolerable. This is something which the city should be looking to put an ordinance in place that requires that any provider of services, such as port authorities, when this happens, must notify. This is something which is important to the residents, especially those who have a disability. So again, 412-532-8338 or ada@openpittsburgh.org to assist this. It's a shame that we have to use only a limited approach to do this, but that's what we're doing. It affects, of course, able-bodied people too, who miss their bus, can't get to work, can't get to a court hearing or whatever. Thank you very much.
Although I usually don't respond to public comment, I will advise you that your efforts would be much better suited to the county. And if I were you, I would suggest going to the county council, because they oversee the Port Authority. We actually have no authority over that.
He does.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live in the Hill District. I'm having a problem with this. See how they do? It's all about gens. You know, I was listening to 90.5. That's a good radio station. And the woman was talking about how you got, I come before you, but it's all about you. You just talk amongst each other. You don't pay any attention. And you, Miss Harris, I've been trying to be nice to you. You get ready to go. So please be quiet. I mean it. I'm serious. All these years. And at the end, I thought you was changing a little bit, but you done got worse, because you're acting like we're nothing. See, that's what gets me. Listen, citizen, they get paid almost $70,000. How much you get? $65,000, $70,000. There's 9 of them. They won't come to the meetings. So I say what we should do is let's knock it down to 5, just so we have someone that can break the tie. They won't come to meetings. They only have to come twice a week. And see all these paperworks? That's a piece of, they put a disc in there. They just put in numbers. Understand, they're not doing all this thinking, because if they was, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. I told Jens 10 years ago, we had three lawyers on there, and I told them we needed common people, because after you leave, these little words that you done change, we end up bankruptcy. And then we did. When the 3 lawyers left, now we got supposed to have common, you're supposed to be common people. Some of you common, just like me. But you know what? You act like you think that you are better than the people. We are your employers. Understand? And the only reason why I'm upset is because I'm looking at you. You won't even listen when the people are talking. I'm tired of it. You act like children. You know, I went to school, I went to college, I learned psychology, and I'm looking at you. You just need to go back to school. You need to take sensitivity training. You need to learn that when people are addressing you, you listen. And especially if they're dark, because of their light, you let them speak continuously. You wouldn't even ask the Bush continue. And I'm telling you, you need to understand that the people in the community told me to come down and tell you they're going to try to get some of this off. They only want 5, because you got 9 and you won't even come to the meetings. And how many is 4 times, what is it, 70,000? See how much we can get a bus at the top of the hill for the seniors. You know what? I had to go all the way to town to get to Bedford. All the way to town to get to Bedford. That's 2 streets up. You just need to get yourself together. And I'm sorry, citizens, that I snap out. But you know what? It hurts me that they're making the laws and we're dying.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That's a message. I'm going to kind of tap off on what this citizen has just said, but I'm going to put it in a little different way. For the past 3 years, we've been conducting research in the city of Pittsburgh. Excuse me, Councilman? My name's David Adams, 119 White Pine Place, Pittsburgh, PA. We had a 4.0 the other day. It was a little too close for comfort. I think we've been telling you all about this for a while, but I got 11 thank yous I want to put through. I'm on vacation today, and I thought I'd just come down and drop this off. I want to thank Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive. I want to thank the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I want to thank the public safety director / emergency coordinator in the city of Pittsburgh. I want to thank the fire chief. I want to thank the emergency management department of the city of Pittsburgh, and I want to thank this council. I also want to thank Congressman Doyle. I want to thank the city of Clairton. I want to thank the Black Elected Officials Coalition, the original members, and I want to thank the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency and the Allegheny County Emergency Services, because if it wasn't for all of you collectively to demonstrate the outlandish behavior that you have both politically and publicly, and your actions towards black innovation and empowerment, which seems to be a no-go in this city, with emergency planning, I thank you because you are responsible for this. I am submitting to the city of Pittsburgh. It is in full effect and will be launched this fall. This is Pittsburgh, the nation's first city-level Citizen Corps Council. I want to submit this to the city of Pittsburgh. It has all the vulnerabilities of the city in it. It has the Citizen Corps operations for the city of Pittsburgh in it. It has already been sent out to the Department of Homeland Security. It has been accepted by the Bush Foundation, who created the Citizen Corps, and citizens of the city of Pittsburgh have won against your vulnerabilities, your gaps, and your barriers politically and publicly that we see in the city of Pittsburgh. The citizens have won. Because when you have a 4.0 as close as it came to us in the center of Lake Erie, I think it's time that this council better pick up your handbooks on emergency planning so that you know what to do for your citizens, because they definitely are going to know what to do when it comes to disasters and emergencies. And we don't need public or political funding to run this. It's the most cost-effective system. It is a national strategy to empower the National Citizen Corps. We hope it'll be on the president's desk by the 4th of July. And so I want to submit this to the city of Pittsburgh. I have one for the public safety director I'll take downstairs when I leave here. I'm also going to submit to council the Citizen Emergency System Development. This is 7 years of 7-county research for southwestern Pennsylvania. We have created through the citizens, and with all of your help, the finest systematic approach and most cost-effective in the nation to increase citizen resilience across the nation. Thank you very much, everyone, for everything that you did to make this possible. There's 9 for the council members and 1. They can make a copy if they want, but I want to submit that to the city.
Hey, pardon me? You want to? Okay, whose committee? All right, so as a request from the administration, we will now move to first of all, we do the roll call.
No, you know what, I think we have another public speaker here.
Oh, I'm sorry, next speaker, please. I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you, yeah, thank you. Councilman Coghill?
My name is Robert Edward Thompson from Scotland.
Yeah, love your voice.
And I've been here for some time, but I've been looking at the history and the name of this town because you're pronouncing it the wrong way. You're pronouncing it the German way. And it was created by the Scottish from my hometown in 1758. And the spelling is the right Scottish way, but you're pronouncing that German, because German for the name for town is Burg, B-U-R-G. The Scottish name for town is Borough, B-U-R-G-H. The pronunciation of this town, created by the Scottish in 1758. 20 years after that, you got a lot of Germans coming in, and they kept pronouncing it Berg rather than Borough. They created 31 other towns, all called Pittsburgh. And that's ridiculous. although they can keep spelling it that way because they spell it the right way, B-U-R-G. But the spelling in this town is Burgh, B-U-R-G-H, just like the capital city of Scotland, like Edinburgh, Edin's town. And this is after William Pitt's town in Scotland, under the British languages that you're all using, rather than German languages, because in the wars you had with the Germans, and you've got a lot of Germans in this country, they all speak the British languages, they do not speak German, and you shouldn't be pronouncing this town the German way whatsoever. It should be pronounced the Pittsburgh way. There's also one 60 miles from you, which is called Edinburgh, and that should be called Edinburgh as well, because it was designed in a similar way. And they all wear Scottish kilts and all the rest of it up there. And they should all be pronouncing that town Edinburgh, not Edinburgh. That's all the real information I've got for you. I've got nothing else to tell, anything else.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please. You should give it to the clerk. You certainly can. That takes us to Public Safety Service Committee, which Ms. Kel Smith is the chair, and the papers they want is all of them, or? All right, we'll just start with Public Works. We'll just go down. Let me get to Public Works. We'll just start from the beginning. We'll get there fast enough. All right, we have a deferred paper?
We'll do roll call.
Oh, do you do roll call? I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there. All right.
Mr. Coghill? Ms. Gross?
Here.
Mrs. Harris?
Here.
President Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Lavelle? Here. Mr. O'Connor? Here. Mrs. Kell Smith?
Here.
Reverend Burgess?
Here.
8 members present.
Thank you. Takes us to Ms. Kel Smith Committee, which she is the chair, and we will start with the deferred paper.
Bill 1637, resolution authorizing the mayor and the directors of the Department of Parks and the Department of Public Works to enter into a lease agreement with the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater for a portion of real property located on Liberty Avenue between 29th and 30th Street.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith.
So, if you wouldn't mind to hold another 2 weeks? Thank you.
Motion to hold 2 weeks.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1730, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances at Title VII, Business Licenses, Chapter 719, by amending the existing language of Section 71902, 04, 09, and 10, and adding 71904B to better align peddlers' licensing in the Allegheny County Health Department food regulations, to add the City of Pittsburgh Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to the Street and Sidewalk Vending Site Designation Committee, and to add the City of Pittsburgh Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspection as a voting member of the Street and Sidewalk Vending Site Designation Committee.
Do the next one, too, please.
Bill 1731, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances at Title VII, Business Licensing, Chapter 719, by amending the existing language of 71910 to add approved vending sites to the list of sites approved by council, and to delete one vending site from the list of sites approved by council, and to better specify the site locations in the list of sites approved by council.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Conversation. Ms. Harris.
Yes. Who's here?
Sally,
Sally or Director?
who's here to talk about this?
Yes.
Let me just
We
say,
do all 3 or just 2?
Two.
and let me just say this is Sally's first time in this position, right? And I just want to thank you for working through this over the
Isn't
week.
Domi part of this too? No?
No, this is Sally's going to talk.
They do attend the Street and Sidewalk Vending Site Designation Committee, but PLI is the organizer. So we ultimately
Introduce yourself for the
enforce
public,
that.
Sally, please.
Yes, my name's Sally Stadelman. I am the Government and Community Affairs Liaison for the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections. Good morning.
Okay, Sally, can you go over this? Because you're adding spots and taking away spots. The way was done when it was in Public Works is that they would go to the council member, talk about it, get it signed off first by the council members. Has that been done?
Sure. So we were just following what was written in the code, which is we accept the application from usually the vendor, and then we take it to the Street and Sidewalk Site Designation Committee, which is DOMI, DPW, Parks, Public Safety, and the Parking Authority, as well as 2 vendors from the community, approved by the council president and a mayor's office representative. And then from there, it then comes to council for approval. So
Okay.
we could certainly, we wanted to look into changing that, but we were simply following how it was spelled out in the code.
I think when it was in Public Works, they would take it first to the council member after your committee was done, as a courtesy to get it signed off, in case they felt there were problems within the community.
Sure. Yeah, and I'd be happy to
them.
make that a business practice to reach out. This is my first time going through the site designation committee process, so we can absolutely be sure to call every council person where there's a recommendation or a request to add a new location in the future.
I would appreciate it because we've done it that way for years, and as a courtesy to council and the members in their districts, if you're taking away a vendor or putting a new vendor in place, as a courtesy, I'd like to have that if possible.
Absolutely, makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to abstain because I think one of these are mine. I don't know. I don't remember which bill it was in.
Yeah, there is one by the stadium. It's a vendor that already operates down there. And let me pull it up here so I get it correct. But it's also, if you wanted to see a picture, let's see if my technology's going to cooperate with me.
Oh, are you a Northsider now?
Yeah, I just moved into my house finally a couple weeks
Which
ago.
neighborhood?
Yeah, Perry Hilltop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow, welcome to the North Side.
Thank you very much.
Please say it correctly. North Side. Keep the TH out.
Got it.
People will think that you're a born and raised North Sider.
That's a good tip. Thank you, Councilwoman. But so the location's on Mazeroski Way. It's about midway through down the block, and it's an existing vendor that was looking to move to that location. Now that process is once you apply, there's then a lottery process. So the vendor that applies doesn't automatically get
Right,
the spot.
that's always been that
So,
way.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a lottery of, maybe we should talk about this offline, or you want to talk about it here?
Either way, whatever.
Okay. Well, since you have it, do you have
all right.
Do you have a picture?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let me see. So I did send out an email yesterday. I apologize. It was a little bit late, but it did contain all the pictures of where the spots were located, because I know they're a little bit, we added the latitude and longitude on.
I look for the meeting, so.
Okay. Or you looked through the.
I look forward to the meetings,
okay.
But go ahead.
Let me see if I can, my computer.
And if you can't, we can meet.
Here we go. All right, so. Yes, that sounds, sure. That's the picture right there.
Yeah, you know what? Let's have a little meeting either afterwards or.
Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be at a public safety walkthrough that started 15 minutes ago, but I'd be happy to stay.
Okay, no, great.
I can come back after too.
Okay. I probably won't be here. I have 2 outside, so maybe call Chelsea and we could get together.
Sure.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Coghill.
Hi, Sally. So it's safe to say you're a liaison for PLI? Sort of
Yes,
Community Affairs Liaison, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I feel like that spot was needed, to tell you the truth. So I just want to throw one little
I
thing
feel
at
like
you.
directors need to be responsible, but okay.
I just want to throw, it's a shame we have to have a liaison for PLI, I think, but at the same time, I'm glad to have one, to tell you the truth. So, because issues keep arising with me with PLI. So I have a constituent okay, who took the day off of work to come down and get a permit. Small contract, you know, it was not the big deal, but he had to come down. He was sent somewhere, and then they sent him somewhere else. It wasn't PLI, but he was under the bridge over there where my staff
611
parks, right?
Second
So,
Avenue.
right.
Yeah.
So by the time he made it to 200 Ross, it was like 2:45. By the time he gets in the building up top, it's 2:58. Okay, they close at 3. Did they take him?
Well, so probably depended on the day. We are on Monday launching new software to move permitting online. We've been simultaneously trying to manage the incredible task of getting that software ready, and all staff at PLI are involved. So we've been very, very busy. So I want to say yes, but I would imagine that could have been, I can think of 2 or 3 days in the last couple weeks where we were absolutely slammed with lines out the door, even at 3 o'clock.
Right. Now, knowing full well, whatever paperwork he has, somebody's going to be there till 20 after 3 probably, hopefully
Till-
earlier.
yeah, till
but-
4:15,
But,
yeah.
but you, are people, I mean, so somebody comes walking in and you're open till 3.
Correct.
If somebody comes walking in at 2:58, are you telling me it's at our discretion whether we take them or not? I mean, to me, that's like business hours. And if that's what we're stating, I think somebody needs to be there and say, I'll stay the extra 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And, you know.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and I can't tell you how hard our front staff have been working to keep up with the volume. And this constituent, starting Monday, will never, ever have to take the day off again, because he can apply
Yeah.
for that permit at midnight or at noon on Saturday, whenever he wants.
You know what? Technology, I
So
believe, has its
close.
place. This is a good place where if we can keep people from coming downtown, I am so on board with that. I hope it rolls out as smooth and as well as what you're expecting. However, for the people that do come down, you know, I would expect, as a city representative, that if they get there at 2:58 and they took the day off to be there, somebody from our department has got to stay there and take care of
Yeah,
his whatever. Especially,
absolutely.
he was kind of misled. It wasn't your department, but
Yeah.
he was kind of misled by other departments as to where to go. So you know, and hopefully that won't be an issue. That to me is, you know, this online stuff and getting your permits online. I mean, hopefully we'll make more money. I mean, people will be more honest, I hope, and because Sally, it's never, for me, it's never the cost of the permit that we try to avoid. It's the process of having to come downtown. And then when you're turned away, you know, before what your closing hours state they are, it's really frustrating to me.
Yeah, yeah. I can't apologize enough
No,
for
I got
that
you.
gentleman.
Right.
I'd be happy to talk to them, and we certainly never ever want that to happen. And we
Right.
are there till 4:15 for that reason, to accommodate overflow.
Well, I've known you
folks will
for-
come in at 3 o'clock.
That's good. That's good to know. I know you've known you for some time. I'm just glad to have liaison, so you're the person I'm going to talk to about things like this, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
great.
yes.
Mr. Chair, can I chime in a little bit? Sorry.
Bruce.
So I have to acknowledge as well, I have a district that has a tremendous number of small businesses and new business startups, especially bricks and mortar Main Street businesses. And so we have in my office a lot of cases that are very similar in nature to the one Councilman Coghill is describing. So I would like to be able to make time to clear some of those cases with you as well. People waiting many, many weeks, and I know we're many years into the promise of new technology. We definitely look forward to having the new technology so that these systems are expedited. I want to acknowledge that not only has the technology been a few years late, but then also there are something like 5 times the number of permit applications than there were 5 years ago, right, between construction and businesses that PLI is all handling. So with not a significant increase in staffing, and I think it's a budgetary issue as well. I hope that the technology magically appears also easily and clears this workload, but if it does not, we have to apply other additional resources, because it is not acceptable that so many small businesses, I have businesses that have tried to start up for many, many months and were unable to because they ran out of, they had enough capital and should have been able to open, but they ran out of capital because they weren't able to get through the permitting process. And I think it's an institutionalized problem. It's a public policy problem when it's gone on this long and with this much negative impact to the neighbors. So I just had to say that, and I apologize, but I really look forward to trying to work through these problems and find the solutions this year.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I'll stop there.
All right, back, anyone else? Back to Councilwoman Smith.
So I'm going to just say we scheduled a post agenda on PL&I, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. So I won't belabor the point too long, but I just was having the similar conversation with Sally a few minutes before the meeting started, just that, our priorities are technology, but I mean, we also should, our priorities for myself and for Councilman Coghill and some of the other members of council is delivering services to constituents. We have people living next to houses for 10 years that need demoed, grass so high that it covered the entire house. So, I mean, is our priority technology, or is our priority going to be delivering services, or is there a way to do both? And I just want to say the budget's not big enough to do all the things that we need to do and all the things we want to do. And Director Gable's challenged with a smaller workforce himself, and I just think that he does the grass cutting on private property once PL&I sends it to him, but the entire process is too long, and I think that's a conversation that we need to have. What are our priorities? Is it, if our budget only can afford so much, is it delivering the services to constituents, or is it making sure that technology is a priority? And yet we're not seeing that result trickle down into the residents and into the neighborhoods. So I think that it's a conversation we have to have, and I think during that PL&I post agenda we'll have that conversation.
Any other conversation? No other conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. You can read the next three bills together, I think.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Sally.
Thank you.
Bill 1749, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works and/or the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Greenfield Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $66,055 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1750, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works and/or Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreement to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging's Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Brighton Heights Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $100,000 for this stated purpose. Bill number 1751, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works and/or the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to execute relevant agreements to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Aging's Senior Community Center Grant Program to renovate the Homewood Healthy Active Living Center, and further providing for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $38,200 for this stated purpose.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Second, Ms. Smith.
So I don't know if anybody has any discussion. Councilwoman Harris?
Harris.
And we'll wait till Director Gable comes to the table, please. Good morning, Director.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself for the public?
Mike Gable, Director of Public Works.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions.
Okay, and first, I would like to abstain on the two bills before this. I wasn't at the table. Okay. Director, is that going to be enough money for the Brighton Heights Senior Center? That's going to be for the upstairs, correct?
It's I'm being told it's for programming space for the center, so it's probably generated by the Parks and Rec staff working with our facilities people. So I don't have any more details than that, but it just says programming space at the center.
Okay, because maybe the Parks Director could come up. Is he the other?
He can probably give us more details to his Healthy Active Living Center.
Okay.
Good morning, Ross Chapman, Director of City Parks, Parks and Recreation.
Okay. Good morning. I was just asking Director Gable about the Brighton Heights 1750. If is that going to be the upstairs that you're having Public Works? This is a little confusing because you take care of part of it, and he does the work.
That's how this goes, right? So we went after these grants last year as well. We didn't get any, so we were pretty pleased that we were awarded 3 grants this year. Mm-hmm. The grant specific to Brighton Heights is for possible relocation of the senior center from the basement of that facility to the upper levels. Having met with Director Gable's team yesterday to go over some 2020 capital budget requests, it looks pretty feasible for us to do that. This grant will help facilitate that. The interior, it's my understanding of Brighton Heights main level and upper level, has been completely gutted and it's opened up. So there's a lot of possibility as to what that center can become. We recently had some water damage in the senior center due to that heavy rain we had a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So that impacted our operation there. We had to cease operations for a day and a half or two. So if the city and administration wants to consider that, there's a lot that we can do, and the grant will help us do some of that.
How'd
Very
the
small
water
piece.
get in?
I don't know if it was a roof issue or it's just a basement. There's a drain. It's an old building, so I think there's a myriad of things that facilities has addressed. But there's just a couple things when we get that much rain that quickly. That was the end result. So I think it took a couple days to dry out, but operations resumed. But if we were able to get our seniors to the upper level, I think that would be a real benefit.
Okay. Since they were gutting the upstairs, I thought you just got everything out of the building. I didn't realize you went that far. Was there any asbestos to deal with? Do you know? Director Gable.
If there is, we certainly address that contractually before any other work is undertaken. We do that with all the buildings.
So this is 100,000 starting now or starting when you first gutted it?
The 100,000. Since this is through the Pennsylvania Department of Aging and our senior program, they align their fiscal year July 1 through June 30th. The grants team, I don't believe, has received the actual award yet. I believe we would have until June 30th to expend the monies appropriated for that specific project. So June 30th of 2020. So we would have from July 1 through next year. And as I read the grant, there's language in there that if the work was to continue beyond, as long as we're providing adequate receipts of expenditures, I think they would allow us to continue to move forward after.
Since the
June
upstairs
30th.
is gutted, then there's a possibility to work on the upstairs and downstairs, correct, Mr. Gable?
Yes.
Okay. And I did have another question. Since, and this was before you got here, Director Ross. Not before you got here, but into public or Parks and Rec. They had closed another senior center, which made that the only senior center on the north side. And it's really not easy to get to by bus. So what the director at that time said is that they will get a bus schedule together for each of the neighbors' hoods on the north side to pick up and drop off. And I don't know, do I need to get that out because it hasn't been shared with any of the neighborhoods where the drop-off would be and where the pickup would be, to make it local for those people to be able to share in a senior program, since slowly they've closed each one on the north side.
Are you speaking specific to city transportation services or
It's
Port
supposed to come out
Authority?
of Parks and Recreation's budget.
What we did when the north side Buell location closed is we shuttled seniors probably it closed in January of 2018 for probably 3 or 4 months in our city fleet sedans and or shuttle buses. We got to a point where I think program supervisor Jim Krashna was shuttling maybe 1 or 2 people per week up there. Currently, 2 of our vehicles, I think it's our PR 55 and 60, they're both in the shop. We have been fortunate enough to work with Brandon and OMB and the Fleet Acquisition Department. We're expecting a new shuttle bus to be given to our senior program sometime this year, but when we do that, our fleet does increase. It's a swap. So we'll give away the oldest, crappiest one, and we'll get a better one. What we did, I think the last time we were up here, Councilwoman, perhaps, and you made a request, we reached out to Elizabeth Mitchell. She's the current center director at Brighton Heights. She reached out, her and Kim Katarski, who work there, reached out to all of the active senior participants and those that had been members at the north side, the Buell location as well, and tried to gauge interest. I think I sent something to you. I can send it again.
No, and I think I talked to you after that because they closed centers. Troy Hill was closed, and a couple other ones. This
Okay,
has
that
been
are
a
outside of
gradual
art?
over the years.
Okay.
And it's really unfair to the neighborhoods if we're getting money to service seniors. And the last director said, because they closed that one, this would just be for,
Sure.
the one that was done at the Carnegie Library.
Sure.
I still call it the Carnegie Library.
Yeah, right.
But it would be for each of the neighborhoods that they would have a drop-off center. And they would get the word to the seniors. I could do some of that with you, but I want to make sure that you have capable transportation so they can sort of do that circle and pick up the seniors.
It's
and
always a
bring them.
matter of resources, and if we have 2 or 3 functioning shuttles and or vans, they're used probably every day by seniors for different trips and community events. So we could work out something or work out a schedule. I don't think it could be daily, given the other 12 centers that utilize the vehicles that we have. And of course, it's dependent on how roadworthy they are. Some of them are a little long in tooth, and that's why we're working closely with the budget office to
So we'll be leaving some neighborhoods of senior citizens out of the programs.
Not if we can help it. No, ma'am. Not. So we
Then
also
we need to get a shuttle, and we need to let the senior groups know, or reopen Troy Hill and get another one down North Side and get another one in the flats.
I'm all for it. I think it's a matter of funding. The funding that we get from the county combined with what we get through our community development block grant money, it's not as much as we would like. So
Right.
for us to add another center and be able to support it properly and perhaps petition for an increase in our fleet, I'm willing to do that. And I think that we just met with the folks at the Area Agency on Aging a couple weeks ago for our annual provider meeting. They're completely supportive of providing services to all and any seniors in the area. So that's something that I would be happy to work with you on.
Okay. I just want to make sure that every senior can get
Most certainly.
to a center because, as you know, the North Side was once a city of its own, and it's 20% of the city of Pittsburgh. And it only has, as of right now, one happy senior center. And we need to be able to at least, try to get any seniors that want to go a ride back and forth. As the past director said before the North Side group closed, it wasn't for just down North Side.
Sure.
It was for the other areas too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing no other concerns, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. We have a new paper.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bill 1752, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure and or the Department of Innovation and Performance on behalf of the city to enter into an agreement with Ford Motor Company in order to receive access to the Ford City Insights visualization platform that will further the city's ability to deliver services to residents.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second. Any conversation? Nope. Ms. Harris.
Director, could you come to the table, please? Good morning, Director. Could you introduce yourself for the public, and then I don't know who has questions.
Karina Ricks, I'm the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure.
Could you just give us a
Sure. So this is
information on
the this is the specific data sharing that we brought before to you. An example of that where we wanted to have the ability to sign on to these. This is the data set that's associated with the Ford City of Tomorrow work that we did earlier this year. That was work that you all approved to engage with. Through that work, they generated this visualization data set. So what this is a we are not receiving data from them, but we are gaining access to a platform that they've created that takes demographic data, census information, other data that they have gathered through that's publicly available. They've cross-tabulated it to allow us to sort of look at what factors might influence different mobility outcomes in different areas of our city. And so this allows us to engage in that and have access to that platform.
Okay, since it's public information, will that be available to the public?
This is a licensed, so they are giving us access for a certain number of licenses to look at. So it's not going to be a public website that's going to be displayed there. It's just licenses for members of the city to look at.
Okay, so council will be able to look at this?
You will perhaps be able to come to our offices and we'll be able to open it up, or we'll send a staff member if you're curious to look at it who has the log-on information and share that with you.
Okay. Since you're on the same floor and you are Public Works, will it be for both sides, Public Works and DOMI?
So again, there's going to be a certain number of individuals that will be logged on to this, that will be given log-on information and be able to access it. And so those individuals, if they're requested by anyone to come and you want to peruse the platform and what it shows, we'll make those individuals available to whoever would be interested to see it, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gross.
Hi, Director. I'm sorry to jump topics, but I just have to for a short while if the chair will indulge me. We had a number of public testimony today about the Morningside permitting of construction. And so I just wanted to make sure that you've been following this. I know my office has reached out to your office for 3 weeks now, and the mayor's office has been involved in rectifying. There was permitting for both PWSA reconstruction and current work. There was permitting for DPW work, and then there was the issue with the Port Authority buses and detours. This is the kind of thing we don't want to happen.
Yep.
And there was much inconvenience to constituents, and it took quite a few days to untangle. So know that I sure hope this technology is one of the things that will help with your permitting of street closures. We've been talking about this for a number of years since you arrived, before, and council's been talking about it since well before the DOMI was created. It was in part one of the reasons I think that DOMI was created. And you certainly have made some strides, but it didn't help the people of Morningside for the last few weeks. So we look forward to seeing those solutions, and if we can make some time, I think, to untangle what happened there, I would be happy to have those conversations with you.
Yeah, and it will, obviously, we don't want that to happen either, and one of the advancements that we are making, which Sally alluded to with the PLI permitting, this is moving toward the Computronics platform, which PLI is and city planning are making the first move.
I was recently briefed by your department on
Yeah,
that
DOMI
as well.
is coming right behind. We're eager to have that there because our current permitting platform that we have does not have GIS capabilities. So while the addresses are there, we would need to manually sort of line up each
But we
and
do it in my office. We literally use like
segment.
overhead projection things and dry erase markers and pencils on maps.
So we're going to make it a lot easier for everyone with the Computronics launch, that you'll be able to have it really geolocated, all of the different work that's happening by segment in a much more specific way, so that we can schedule our paving work with full knowledge. Right now, of course, for example, with PWSA, they're doing such a tremendous amount of work throughout the city that we're batching permits in order to just keep that moving, right? So the many different individual residential locations that there's work happening on. With the new Computronic system, each one of those will have their own unique identifier, and we'll be able to see that. So I understand that it's cold comfort to the residents of Morningside in this moment, but there is a light on the horizon with this, and so that is scheduled for launch in March. So next paving season, you should accept no excuses.
And when we have our public hearing on it, it would be wonderful to have you in the room, and I'm going to be asking the board members of the Port Authority the same courtesy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Talk, Hill.
On that same note, I actually got phone calls from your district about the same thing. And I happened to be meeting with Catherine Kellerman last night, and she's well aware of that. You know, she seemed to think that it was a lack of communication, I guess, with PWSA and their contractor that they hire. And that's the disadvantage of having a subcontractor, of course, is the communications, there's usually a breakdown of some sort. So I don't know that, but I just wanted to say she's well aware of that. So she's, I guess you all will work in coordination.
Yep.
So not my district, but I really just wanted to comment on Broadway Avenue and Beachview to you, Karina. Brand new concrete, looks beautiful. You know, looking forward to the finished product there. They're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, any other conversations? See no other conversation, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1753, resolution approving the recommendation of the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure that Flora Street, Fort Duquesne Boulevard, inbound and outbound, Broad Street, Ansley Street, and Ormore Street be paved with asphalt, accordance with Section 41706 of the Code of Ordinances.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Need a second. Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1754, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program to provide funding for the planning of the Emerson Street multi-module path and plaza. The grant proposals included ask of $200,000 with a local match of $30,000 to come out of the 2020 city capital budget. In the event the grant is awarded, this resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $230,000 for this stated purpose.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Need a second. Second. Seeing no conversation except for Ms. Harris, of course.
Yes.
I should have just had you stay here, Director. I'm sure there's a lot more we can talk about for the next 2 hours.
Thank you. I'm Karina, the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure.
Okay, my question is it just for this project, or is it for other projects? As you know, we've had a number of landslides on our trails in Riverview Park.
Yeah, this resolution is for specifically the project in front of you for submission.
So will you be looking for money for those?
For the Riverview Park trail. So we are doing some work and investigations in the Riverview Park and stabilization of the land associated with that. So that's not this application there, but it is very much on our radar, and we are looking at it as we approach the capital budget season.
Okay, because as the one part of Riverview, going down to Grand Avenue has been just left alone. Now we're having a problem above it. And it's very, very concerning. And some of the problems have been man-made. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other conversations?
I just want to thank Director for always looking for the grants and additional funding, and the mayor's office as well. The mayor's had folks. Could you say who we had? I can't remember. Here, where he was talking about the Secretary of something.
Secretary Richards?
Yeah.
For,
Could you talk
the,
about that briefly? I just want people to
sure.
realize that there are a lot of efforts in trying to find funding for issues. You know, told you this past week I got killed over this whole Grandview Avenue stuff. But you are, and the mayor has, and we have been working on these issues for a very long time. But it's across the city of Pittsburgh that there's, landslides and slope remediation issues, across the city of Pittsburgh, and the rain, the exorbitant amount of rain that we've been experiencing, and the fact that we have a lot of mines that have never been sealed off properly, and a lot of natural springs. There's a lot of challenges, and since you've been here, you have been jumping through hoops and being very reactionary, because years prior we've never been proactive, and had we done that, then maybe we won't be addressing these things the way we are now in such an emergency situation. But I want to thank you, and I want you to talk a little bit about what the mayor has done.
No, thank you. So I think it's about a month ago now we had Representative DeFazio. So he is a representative from the state of Oregon, but important to us, he is the chair of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And so I'm sure folks have heard talk of a $2 trillion or $3 trillion infrastructure bill for the country as a whole. We don't know if that will proceed or where those resources will come from at the federal level to go with such a bill. But one thing that we really wanted to present, and it was important to us, this is a representative who actually doesn't go out to different places of the country all that often. He's in Washington, he goes to his home state of Oregon, but doesn't go out around the country. So we felt very special to represent a large portion of the country with him coming here and able to articulate to him to consider the fact that landslides and other climate mitigations and climate resiliency actions, flooding, which some of the other council districts have experienced,
ours too.
And yours too, yes, yeah.
Mine's got it all.
It is something we get a bunch of, but this is not a programmatic area that is typically an approved activity within transportation budgets or within infrastructure budgets. It's considered disaster mitigation, disaster relief, but we are seeing that this is a perpetual occurrence in communities like ours, communities elsewhere in Western Pennsylvania and elsewhere in the country. And so we were able to represent to the chair that this is something that we need to consider as we craft a new national infrastructure bill to take into account some of these unique considerations. And I know a concern deeply important to Councilmember Gross is that of just aging infrastructure, green infrastructure, sewer and water. That too was a major point of discussion with the secretary. Again, we wanted to inform him of the really urgent concerns that face communities like ours and across the country. He was very appreciative, very alert and aware, and so we took him to your district to see the green leaf slide, which is still a giant scar on our hillside, and understand sort of the magnitude of investment that's necessary here. And so we'll see where this federal infrastructure bill goes. But hopefully it will include some new programming that can allow us some streams of funding to address issues like this.
And I have to say that I think that a lot of times you're working on a lot of things. We take a lot of tours, and in our area we've had Congressman Doyle, we've had Senator Fontana, State Representative Deasy, all the people that represent our area on the state and federal level that can bring dollars into our area. I didn't take them up to see a view. I took them to actually look and see what we can do to help our area, and there's just so many efforts, and so many different things. And honestly, I want to say Congressman Doyle has been very successful in getting some funding into our area recently. And I think a lot of it speaks to his seniority. I think a lot of times when somebody has such seniority, they're able to bring those dollars into a neighborhood. I mean, a lot of people talk about, they don't like incumbents, but sometimes it matters on those levels because they are so large. And I just want to thank him for the money that he brought into Sheridan Park. That was such a beautiful project that we just did. Valve turning is what it was in Sheridan Park for the dollars that he's been bringing. But he's also been bringing dollars to other parts, including the flooding and some other things. So while it's great to have other people come into the area, and I appreciate that, what I want people to understand is that it is on your agenda, it is on the mayor's agenda, it is on our congressman's agenda, and we have a lot of people working towards solutions. It's just we're all vying for the same dollars as the rest of the country, so. But thank you very much for all your efforts.
Harris.
I just wanted to add on to Councilwoman Smith's. There are preventative measures that the city could have been doing and should still be doing. The vines that are growing up the hillsides are pulling trees down and are not being replaced. And there's people you could get from the colleges to go out there and help with the vine piece. But over the last 13 years, I have not seen any of that, and I just keep watching one tree fall after the other. So naturally, if you're going to have water issues, this is where you have no roots of trees that are sucking up that water. So it has not been helping, as you know, in my area or Councilwoman Smith's area, to just let those vines keep sucking those trees, and they're just falling one by one.
I think we could have this whole conversation about what planting appropriately on hillsides and what we really need to do, and how trees after so long they get so weighted they pull down the hillside. So it's a catch-22. I mean, you need the trees for the canopy and for all the protection. And on our area we have the most eroded tree canopy, and so it's and we're also seeing the most landslides. But I think it's the whole conversation of the environment and where we are right now. I'll just shut up.
Thank you very much. Motion to move on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're going to continue on this mode. Land Use and Economic Development Committee, Ms. Gross is chair. We have deferred paper.
Bill 1415, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code Title 9 zoning Article 1, Section 90203 zoning map, and Article 3 by adding a new Section 90702K to establish a new interim planning overlay district for the inclusionary housing interim planning overlay district.
It needs to be held.
Motion to hold for Cablecast public hearing.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. New paper, please.
Bill 1748, resolution amending resolution number 650 to reallocate funding previously assigned to another agreement and to further authorize the mayor and director of city planning to enter into an agreement with Studio Byram Hayes for consulting services pertaining to the Sheridan Park master plan.
Need a motion, Ms. Gross.
Motion for discussion.
Motion to approve. Is there a
Discussion,
second?
sorry.
Second.
I'm writing one thing and trying to say another one. I beg your pardon.
Ms. Gross, you have the floor.
Yeah, so absolutely, I'm supportive, and I just wanted to see if Councilman Smith had, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Councilman Smith.
I just really want to thank city planning and the mayor's office. It's just really an exciting time for Sheridan right now. I think this is the first year first time that I can recall in years that Sheridan is receiving the types of attention and dollars that they're getting now. And I know sometimes it's to the chagrin of some other neighborhoods sometimes, but we have 17 neighborhoods in District 2, and every neighborhood is getting something or doing something, or something's in the works or we've already done something. So for Sheridan, over a week ago, we did a dedication for the work that Alcosan and PWSA did in Sheridan Park, and you'll be able to fish in Sheridan Park, and you'll be able to do camping and things that the kid. I mean, it was so nice to see little kids coming down and enjoying the park and the community that they should be able to go to and enjoy and having for so long, because Short-Tears Creek ran through, but it was all dried up and you didn't even know it. But that project started under Alan Hertzberg when he was in office. And at the time, I worked for Pittsburgh Public Schools, and they had the meeting in my office for that project. I never thought I'd get to actually fight for the funding in Alcosan when I was on the board of Alcosan, and to actually turn the valve and dedicate the ponds in the project. And now this project on top of that is going to make Sheridan Park something that the community cannot wait for, and the kids in that community do not have a recreation center, and I am working with Mayor Peduto on that. And he got him to commit at the table that he was going to open a community center in our district. And so we're looking forward to that conversation. And the Holy Innocents property that was sold in that area, there's some new interest in it, and possibly an artist colony and a museum in the one church. So there's a lot of interest in that area. And with the plumbers building and the repurposing of that, thankfully Congressman Doyle got us money for the Sheridan Park and for the master plumbers building and some of the other things that we're working on. So I want to thank city planning for this work, because they know it is really important to me to see this park be treated as the treasure it really is. And I think that this is a chance that's really giving a lot of hope to a community that hasn't had a lot of hope for a long time. And anytime government comes into Sheridan, they panic, because we have done a number of things to Sheridan in a way that was not always positive. And this is the first time they're looking forward to us being there. So I want to thank you and thank city planning and the mayor's office for their commitment to Sheridan.
Motion approved on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. All right, that takes us to Urban Recreation Committee. Mr. Coghill is the chair. We have a new paper.
Bill 1746, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Sheridan Hotel Station Square in an amount not to exceed $8,469.78 for the City Parks Seniors Program Volunteer Recognition Gala and providing for the payment thereof.
Need a motion, Mr. Coghill.
Motion to approve for discussion?
Need a second? Second, this is an annual event. We're all familiar with it. Conversation?
How about motion just to approve then?
And I'm just going to say thank you for investing in District 2, because this is in District 2 too.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1747, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to receive grant funding from the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank Summer Food Service Partner Support Impact Grant to purchase 2 canopies to be used by the city's mobile food truck, and further providing for expenditures not to exceed $600 for this stated purpose.
The motion, Mr. Coghill.
Motion to approve.
Need a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1757, resolution authorizing City Council to name the clubhouse and learning center in the Bob O'Connor Golf Course after Arnold Palmer in recognition of his lifetime achievements and influences on the city and the first tee of Pittsburgh.
Need a motion, Mr. Coghill.
Motion to approve for discussion?
Need a second? Conversation. Mr. Corner.
Thank you. So, as everybody knows, the golf course is named after my father. However, they're building a new clubhouse, and that is to be named after Mr. Palmer, which is why I brought everybody in Arnold Palmer. Clearly, after this meeting, if you add vodka to it, it'll taste a lot better. But there is an amendment that I have to make. It should just be the Learning Center, not the official clubhouse. So, motion to amend.
Second.
Okay. So, I just need to make the amendment that would say, just cross out clubhouse and to name the Learning Center. So that would be the only amendment.
All right, there's a motion to amend on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It has been a minute. We're back to the original bill. Any more conversation? No more conversation about the original bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management Committee. Ms. Strasburger is the chair. We have a new paper.
Bill 1755, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into a contract agreement with GBWH Pittsburgh LLC New Horizon to provide ITIL VA Foundation to support ongoing development of innovation and performance staff to support critical IT infrastructure for a sum not to exceed $41,600.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Harris.
Yes. Hi. Do you want to give your name?
Santiago Garces, Director of the Department of Innovation and Performance.
Sylvia Harris, Assistant Director of Operations, Department of Innovation and Performance.
Do you want to tell us about this?
Sure. So this is a training that we'll conduct with the majority of the staff in the department. So every person that is involved in the technology functions and several other members of the staff. It is training on best practice on how to deliver IT services. And this was developed in the UK for government, but many other organizations use it. So it falls along 2 of the pieces of the plan that we shared with Council of investing in our staff and then also improving our ability to deliver services, IT services.
Okay. I have one concern that lately we haven't been able to either get on the computers, or they're running absolutely so slow. And it seems like it's not just our office, but at least of council.
Yeah, so, in our troubleshooting with this, a lot of what we've found, these problems are the older computers. And so as we swap them out for the newer ones, a lot of these issues have been going away. So your computers have been ordered and should be available shortly.
Okay, so it's nothing in the system. It's just that we have the older.
No, that has not been our indication.
Okay. Okay. And while I'm sitting here, Santiago, do you know when the other one's coming in?
For
This one?
I'll check after
Okay.
the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other concerns, any other questions? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1514, resolution adopting the plan
Thank
revision
you.
to the city of Pittsburgh. Well, this is O'Connor.
Okay, this takes us to, let's keep on. It's Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. Mr. Connor's the chair.
1514, resolution adopting the plan revision to the city of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for the 21st and Smallman. The site is located on the north side of Smallman Street between 21st and 23rd in the 2nd Ward.
Motion.
Motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in, roll call vote.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle. Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith.
Aye.
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
7 members, yes.
Thank you. It takes us now to new paper.
Bill 1745, resolution authorizing the mayor and the Department of Parks and Recreation to enter on behalf of the city into an agreement with Allegheny County Department of Human Services for the city's operation of its senior community centers. Said agreement shall be for a term of 1 year, no cost to the city, with compensation not to exceed $794,250.
Need a
Motion to approve discussion.
Is there a second?
This is our annual year allocation that we work with the county and the Department of Human Services to work at our senior centers.
Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Thank you very much. That takes us to the front of the agenda. Takes you back to Finance and Law Committee, of which I am the chair. We have a deferred paper. You can read the first two.
Bill 1635, resolution authorizing the issuing of a warrant in the amount of $7,700 to Davenport and Company LLC for professional consulting services in relation to police arbitration. Bill number 1636, resolution authorizing the issuing of a warrant in the amount of $16,350 to MAS Financial Advisory Services LLC for professional consulting services in relation to police arbitration.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor, any conversation? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1338, ordinance amending, supplementing, and correcting the Pittsburgh Code at Title II, Fiscal Article 1, Administrative Chapter 219, Operating Budget, so as to add contract and bid information requirements to fiscal impact statements and to further correct numbering and formatting.
Motion to hold 2 weeks.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. It's held for 2 weeks. New paper.
Bill 1743, resolution authorizing the issuing of a warrant in favor of Cohen and Grigsby in an amount not to exceed $4,413.50 for this professional legal services in connection with immigration matters.
Need a motion. Need a second. Second. All those in favor, Mrs. Harris. There's no one here. If you want to have this conversation, we'll have to call someone from the law department.
Okay.
Or you could approve it and then on your own talk to the law department rather than have us wait here for an hour for
Well,
someone to.
they should be here,
They
so,
absolutely should be here. Don't we have somebody who's supposed to work
You
for
know.
council?
All right, so whatever you want.
yeah, have them come up, because they should be here. Anybody that we need to be talking to,
All right.
or think we're talking to, should be in this
You
room.
could call someone from the law department to come. We will continue while we wait.
Sure.
If you would go to the next bill, please.
Bill 1744, resolution authorizing the issuing of a warrant in the amount of $18,427.50 into Seagal Waters for professional consulting services in relation to police arbitration.
Motion to hold for executive session.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's a nay. Now, the invoices are on the table, though. Before I read the motion for the invoice, I need actually a motion to waive the rules of council because one of the public safety invoices is above our limit. I think there's a 4,959, almost 5,000 invoice, and so I need a motion to waive the rules of council so we consider all the invoices. That's
So moved.
Say, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed is nay. Now I need a motion on the invoices.
Motion approved.
Need a second.
Second.
Conversation about the invoices. Ms. Harris.
Yes. I want Bill just to sit out there without coming up.
Of course not.
Morning, Bill. If you give your name.
Good morning, members.
Okay, under Parks and Rec, it has that we're renting one of our public schools for an orientation. Why? Do you know what the date is? And
They need, this has come up in the past, that's why I know a little bit about this one. They need an area that's large enough to be able to do the lifeguard training. And I think Carrick High School has what they need to be able to do that. That's why the school's rented.
right, okay, so why do we, one government, paying the other government when, how many will be there, and what does the school district have to give other than, you know, the swimming? I'm sure we have the lifeguards and we're the ones that are doing all this, or is it someone in Pittsburgh Public Schools?
The explanation that's been given to me in the past is that there's a cost to be able to open the schools. They need to have staff there, so and it's per their union contract regarding I think janitorial services, custodial services.
Okay.
Need to be there, and that's what the charge is actually.
Okay, so what's it for?
It's supposed to be for custodial services. I think if you have a number of folks there as well too, there may be other.
It's like $200 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, could you find out for me
I'll be
how
glad
many
to get you
people, you know, that we will have there, how many trainers, what the timeline is, what the date is, and the time and the date.
Certainly, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate it because if it's a Saturday, you know, a lot of times they do have those people there, and if it's before school leaves out, I wouldn't understand why that wouldn't be waived. And if it is, when school, I mean, I could understand if it's in the summer and the schools are closed down and they're doing things like that, but I just can't understand because we share different parts, whether it be fields or anything else, and this should be no different. So if you could just get me that information, we could talk about it.
I'll be glad to get you the information.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Is that it, Ms. Harris?
That's it.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That approves the invoices. There are no transfers, I do not believe, but there are P cards on the table. I need a motion for the P cards.
Motion to approve?
Need a second? Second. Any conversation? Seeing no conversation with the P cards, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. That exhausts, I believe, our agenda. I do not have any announcements in front of me. Unless there's somewhere else. Do I have announcements somewhere? I don't think. Oh, we're still waiting on law. I forgot. We're still waiting on law.
How about every time they're
Do you
not
want to
here, we
sing?
find them? We find their departments.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Let's put a fine. Every time someone's not here when they're on the agenda, we find their departments if they.
And it comes into city council's budget.
Because they're keeping the cameras running.
$1,000 extra.
I'll say happy birthday to my wife, who I'm sure is not watching.
No, if she's having a good birthday.
Did we do this? I mean, they're only down, what, one floor?
Well, we were told that somebody watches all of our meetings.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Who's watching? I mean, I won't waste the time. Okay. Okay, I do not want to waste the time
Wendy's
of
on
the
her
other council members.
Wendy's on her way up. I suggest that you not do this from the beginning. So, but you can, it's your right, and I'll support it.
I suggest that they should be here because they know that what the protocol is, and it's always been the way it has been.
Motion
if
for
you're on the
$1,000
agenda, you should have somebody up here on your department up here.
Wendy's coming. And voila. Come on, Wendy, we're waiting for you. Yes.
No, it was.
To be correct. Oh, there are announcements. Yes, there are announcements. Okay. If you'd introduce yourself, and Ms. Harris has the floor.
Sure. Wendy Kobe from the Law Department.
Okay, could you please explain for us in the public just what this is?
Yes, this is an invoice for immigration services requested by, I believe, well, a particular department that this employee works in for assistance.
Is this something that needs to come up in an executive session to ask the questions? Do you feel that way?
That would be more appropriate.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just going to give you an abstract answer.
Okay. And from now on, I'd appreciate somebody being here from the law department if there's something that's not being held for executive session. Thank you. Not just the law department, I should say all departments. And I want to make a motion after. But thank you very much. I motion to hold for executive session.
I want to say something first before we hold.
There's no second on the hold. That goes next to Ms. Smith.
I just want to reiterate what Councilwoman Harris said. I mean, I want to be honest with you. I've asked something about the law department over the past few months. I didn't get any answer. The law department's not been here for meetings. We're waiting for the law department a lot of times for different things. I think that we're going to have a serious discussion during budget time about this law department because, you are here and you're almost always here. But we were told a long time ago that somebody sits downstairs and watches us to make sure that, if there's anything we need to have addressed or anything, that they'll be right up or that they'll notify. But apparently, when we have to call for somebody and wait and hold the taxpayers while the taxpayers are paying for the cameras to roll, then there's obviously some miscommunication. Somebody's not watching. But the bottom line is, the agendas. You know that you should be here, and not just for you, but for every department that we wait for. And I'm going to say Director Gable, Director Ricks, they're here all the time. I mean, all the time. They sit here from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting, and they're some of the most busiest departments we have. And so if they can be here, everybody else can be here. And I just want to say that. Now you can make your motion.
Anyone else first round? Anyone else first round? No one else first round. That goes back to Ms. Harris for second round.
Thank you. Trying to remember and I would just like to also include that I did a right to know. I waited the 30 days. I still do not have an answer, so I would appreciate if you could go back and let them know that that wasn't an answer, because I don't want to have to appeal to the state to get an answer.
Which right to know are you referring to, Ms. Harris?
The one of what was done with the first $100 million that the city has taken out in bonds. It was supposed to be for wherever the money went, the department, say if it was city steps, which city steps, what amount was given to them, how much was spent, and what is left over. And that was supposed to be for the first $100 million to get that information, and I still don't have the information correctly. Our budget department is trying to pull it together, and it's just not there. And the law department asked for me to wait 30 days. I waited 30 days, and then I talked to you about it, and I think you might have went back again to try to get this, but it is bond money. Usually when you spend bond money, it is something that is going to last at least 10 years or more, the life of the bond. And we are up to $200 million now in bond money that this council okayed. And I'm just asking for the first $100 million, what it was spent on. So yeah, I would appreciate it if you'd go back again to whoever the attorneys are that are supposed to be working on this. You can't just wait 30 days and then just throw budgets. I mean, we've done the budgets. I think what is Public Works has to come from Public Works. What's DOMI has to come from DOMI and each other department.
I did follow up on that, and there were no outstanding right-to-know requests. And so that might be...
well, this is still an outstanding.
It might require a separate conversation to understand the disconnect.
I thought it was spelled out pretty clearly. We can have a meeting and I'll show you it, but it still hasn't satisfied what was asked under the right to know.
Who asked?
I did. That's why I'm asking this.
You're a council person.
Well, I tried asking for it without a right to know.
Right.
I did not get the information, so now I went through a right to know. The right to know said 30 days, and you just don't throw a budget at somebody. And now our guys have been trying to pull it apart, and it's not there. So I'll have another meeting with you.
Got it. So you've not asked me about this. There have been multiple bond offerings, so probably off the top of my head, which you're going to have to, this is my advice, and I'm willing to help you do it. I'm not sure what the purpose is, but your purposes are your own interest. I would suggest that you perhaps start to think about it in terms of each bond offering rather than to lump it as the first $100 million, because what you're really doing is you're overlapping offerings. What I would do, because the offerings tend to be about $60 million apiece, I would look at the place, each offering, where that money went. So, whichever offering of the bond offering you want to examine, I would do it offering by offering, because what we did was we used the offerings. This was when my second year in council, we decided, when we did not have enough money for our capital budget, we decided to go out to bond over the next 10 years, every 2 to 3 years. So
now, that is not what I'm looking for. In the last 5 years, there has been $200 million taken out in bonds.
Yes.
The first $100 million is before the $40 million. The next $40 million was, to buy the building over on.
I think you misunderstand me. What I'm suggesting to you is this. I'll try to say this again. Around 10 years ago, when I was your finance chair when you were president, we decided to do a number of bond offerings. And the idea was because we did not have enough money to float our capital budget. What we decided, and we did this with the Act 47 and then the ICA overseers, I was in the room when this decision was made. We decided that we would float a bond to help float the capital budget every 2 to 3 years. And it seems to me it may be easier for you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
No.
You don't want that information.
This is very clear, the way this is written.
So I'm willing to help.
I think the issue is not the information. The issue is the law department responding to a council member when they send for information.
Well,
whether it's this issue
a
or
right
any other
to
issue.
know, it's not
You shouldn't
even.
even have to file a right to know to get information.
So it seems to me this is fiscal, and the area is actually
It
OMI.
just doesn't have to do with finance. This also has. It has to go.
So
with-
to the extent I can be helpful, I will be helpful. If you want me to help, I will. Any other conversation? So we have to now.
We'll have another meeting.
So we have to dispose of this bill. What's the motion? I will now entertain a motion.
Motion was to hold for an executive session.
No, I need a second. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's a nay. All right, so that exhausts the agenda. I will now make the media announcements, and then we'll go to motions and resolutions. Thank you very much, Wendy. Briefing is scheduled this Friday morning, June 14th, with sessions at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock relative to the URA strategic plan update. This will be the last opportunity for council members to meet with the HR&A advisors. On the request of OMB, the Mayor's Office of Management and Budget invites residents to potholes and pierogies, dinner, and a discussion of the 2020 capital budget. These public meetings provide citizens the chance to learn about the budgeting process, to talk with residents about priority projects, to pose questions to a panel from city departments, and to provide valuable feedback for the 2020 capital budget. The first meeting will be the evening, Thursday, June 13th, tomorrow, at the Children's Museum on the north side. The second will be the evening of Tuesday, June 18th, at the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers on the south side. Child care and interpretive services are available for those who register by June 9th. For more information and to register, go to pittsburghpa.gov/OMB/CIP. All right, we will begin now with motions and resolutions, starting with Ms. Harris.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for those departments that are not here to answer council's questions when they're on the agenda, that they give or fined $1,000, and that money will go into the food bank.
The motion's out of order. Any other?
Why?
It's out of order because, number one, the rules of council state the finding is in the president's hands, not in council's hands. And so that's not a motion for us to entertain. You can talk to the president about how you want to do that, but there is nothing in our rules of council that gives us the authority or power to fine. The president can fine us. There's nothing.
No,
you have to have
the
legislation.
president can't fine and take it out of our paycheck.
Let me finish. There is no resolution in front of us. So if you have to write
I
a
will write the resolution, and I will bring it in front of us. And
do that.
It takes 5 council members to pass.
I didn't suggest that you couldn't do it, but you can't do it by fiat. You need to have motion. You have to have an ordinance.
Well, the only time we have to have something on the floor that is when we're at our legislative meeting.
That's also not true.
This has not, we have voted on things that weren't on paper.
We cannot. We speak through either a motion, either a resolution, an ordinance, of some sort. That's how council speaks. Everything we do comes through the venue of legislative activity, which is almost exclusively, even the will of council is either a resolution or an ordinance. So we can have conversations all the time, but we cannot act without some form of motion or resolution introduced by the clerk, put on the standing committee meeting, That's the only way we can speak.
It's not introduced by the clerk, it's introduced by the council member.
It's introduced by the council member,
Thank
recorded
you.
by the clerk.
We'll do it that way then.
It's not the same way you
I think
can.
the conversation really is that the council has been, and I
This
today
is over
especially
and
feel like
over
we've been very
again.
disrespected by not receiving answers, having government relations people that have to deal with us because directors cannot. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said in a lot of the way that things are being handled here. And I mean, and I want to be honest with you. I think we have in Chief Staff at Gilman one of the most responsive people with one of the most important positions. And if he can find time to respond to us and he can deal with council, and I know that we have a lot of different personalities, then I think that the people that report to him can do the same. And so I'm just going to say that, and I think it's the whole conversation that we need to have about the way council is treated and disrespected. We represent the people. If you're not responding to us, you're not responding to concerns and questions that our people may have.
And I agree with both of you about your interests. I'm just trying to help you get it done. And a fast,
Shane, that's
yeah.
the- that's
I will
that's the issue.
put it in a resolution form, and I'll offer it up on Tuesday.
And my second advice, since we're doing this publicly, is if I were you, I would go and meet with the president of council, because most of this, he or she, as you know, having been president of council, you can do this through the presidency of council. And so I would suggest that
I am doing this
I'm just suggesting.
through the council.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so any other conversation? No conversation. I need a motion to approve the minutes, excuse the absent member, and
I was trying to make my thoughts coherent. If I may, just one
Yes.
short thing. So I just wanted to acknowledge to council members that we have been waiting to discuss that cooperative agreement between PWSA and council. I have a meeting with the administration and PWSA leadership tomorrow. So just to keep you informed, the PWSA board hasn't even had an education session on it yet. And just so you understand the timeline, about a month at our last board meeting, we, on our side at PWSA, just motioned to extend this expiration period by 60 days, right? And so that we're able to just continue to do that. And anything involving this very long-standing cooperative agreement would mean that it has to be approved at both parties. So I'll just kind of keeping you in the loop. It's been tough scheduling. I just kind of had a couple of the PWSA board members. So board members have only just gotten it when council members got it. And so we still haven't had a briefing from the PWSA administration about it. And so I'll just keep you informed as that progresses. Okay, thank you. That's all.
any other conversation? And not, they need a motion. Oh, ensure the motion to excuse the absent member, approve the minutes, and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. We are adjourned.
Oh,